Hey folks, welcome back to Deer Corner and good evening. Back up here at the cabin, going to spend the weekend. I left the cabin January the 2nd, day after deer season. And today's the 9th of February and took some time off and time away. I've been married 45 years. And the wife knows I like to hunt, and during deer season I do spend a lot of time away from home. So I spent some time at home with the wife. But we went out to eat several times and this and that and got around and bumped into a fella I know that hunts a lot. He didn't have a very good year, and he brought up a very, very good conversation. We had a very good conversation eating dinner. And it was about rubs, and he found an area and had a lot of rubs. And this one area had 4 or 5 rubs, and he hunted that area and seen a small deer, small buck, and that was all he seen. And that got me thinking about it, and I don't care how big the buck is, he's going to rub on many sized trees. It could be a small tree, it could be a big tree. And a deer will rub a tree. But I just sat there and was talking with him about it, and the rub on a tree don't mean the size of a deer. Now, a big buck can rub a small tree and rub a big tree. And in his case, I got to talking to him, and I have seen this, is that a small buck, and I think he's 6 point, he felt his oats and he rubbed on one tree and then took a couple steps and rubbed on another tree, went 20 yards, rubbed on another tree. And I think, if I remember right, he hit 4 trees in this one area within an hour, less than an hour. Now, if a hunter's coming in and hunting rubs and he walks into an area like this, he's going to sit there and say, boy, there's a lot of bucks here. But this was just one young buck. And I was talking to him and telling him about it, and we were just having a discussion, and I've heard a whole lot about it, and well, they're strengthening their neck, or they're leaving a scent, or they're marking their territory, or they just hate trees. Well, if you get down and thinking about it, they're doing all the above. But when 2 bucks get together and lock up, the buck that gets the lowest will have more leverage. So actually a 6 point young buck, if he gets lower than a 8 or a 10 point larger buck and he can hook up lower, he will have more leverage. Therefore, he can move that older, larger deer. So it's basically about leverage when 2 bucks are spalling, getting together. So when I go look at rubs, one thing I explained to him is what I look at. I look at the lowest rub, that's lower to the ground. Your more mature bucks have already learned the lower the better. And the older mature bucks usually become 8 to 12 point. And they have more points, which they get to be more odds of getting lower to another deer. The more points they got to average, the more they can get to a lower, get lower. And the lowest, the buck that can get the lowest will have more leverage. So the older deer know this. And the rubs that I've hunted and seen deer on are the rubs that are the lowest to the ground. And therefore you got an older deer. You got an older deer that's rubbing a tree lower to the ground. A younger buck, he'll rub a tree a foot or so high, but an older buck, he'll get down 6 inches above the ground. That's one thing I look for if I'm hunting a rub. The second thing, if I'm hunting a rub, I'm looking at the branches above that rub. If they're broken off or twisted or mangled, that's an older buck. Not only he rubbed that tree, he went up and worked that branch above it. And that's leaving scent there. So yeah, you can hunt rubs, but you need to know what rubs you're hunting. And to be successful, you need to learn and understand the rubs and what you're finding in your area. You need to, and I'm not saying it's an old buck, a young buck. By looking at a rub, it's hard to tell the size of a buck. But by the way the rub's made, you can tell how old the buck is. So I hope I shed a little light on this, and I hope it helps you out. But when you're out in the woods, and like this time of year right now, the bears are out, coming out, they got cubs. You got to be careful. So be careful instead of sorry, and things can happen. And I hope to see you again. And go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Leave me a comment. I'll get back with you. And thanks for watching.